It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Mandy the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, welcome to the Fellowship of the Geeks show. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
Les Webster.
Hairbenders unite.
And Holly Briggs.
Speaking of a hairbender. Hey guys.
Wow. Okay, this is a good start. How you guys doing?
Alive and well.
I don't know if we can top that.
I don't think so.
Good night, everybody. No, I'm
Good
kidding.
night, everybody. Enjoy the buffet.
Kidding.
And we're out.
Kidding.
Thank you, Detroit.
So, you guys do. Obviously, you guys are doing okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, I guess so. What's been going on with y'all? Anything special?
Well, I mean, yeah, this is funny because I'm not usually a TV guy, but like for the second time in 3 weeks, I am gonna tell everybody about something cool on TV. And in this case, it is that the Animaniacs are now on Netflix.
Oh, that's cool.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Why did you tell me this? Why?
Because you need to watch more Netflix, apparently. I don't know. But I was miffed because I got Amazon Prime last year just in time for them to take it off of Amazon Prime. And I've been waiting for like 6 months now, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's on Netflix, and I'm excited.
That's awesome news.
Yes.
Indeed.
I hadn't watched that in forever. I love that show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I picked up from the library this week the first 2 volumes of the reboot of the Tomb Raider comics, which I swore I would never read because I was too angry, because I'm just not into the newest revamp of Tomb Raider. But I played the game, and so the comic is a continuation of the new game, and now they're on the second of the new game. So I thought I'd read it so that I knew what was going on after the game. And I gotta say, it was actually very good. I believe Gail Simone did that, and it was very good. I was kind of kicking myself that I didn't pick them up single issue, but I have a hard time messing with the original of her, but it was much better than than I expected. So
One cannot go wrong with Gail Simone.
Nope.
true, so true.
Yeah, true.
Y'all probably saw my little sneak peek on Facebook, but I got copies of this year's Free Comic Book Day books for review purposes. I've read a few of them already, and there's some good stuff in here. The thing that I was impressed with is there's a lot of publishers that some of them I've never even heard of, and then there's some that I've heard of, but I've not picked up any of their stuff. So I'm liking that it's not just the usual suspects. It's these other publishers who can get a chance to get out there and say, hey, here's our story. We hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please buy our books. That's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been enjoying it so far. So, of course, I'll have a review posted just before Free Comic Book Day, which is May 7th, I believe. It's always the first Saturday in May, and I believe it's the 7th. Let me check here.
Yes, I'm looking at my calendar. It is May 7th.
Cool.
Awesome.
So, please, guys, get ready to go to your local comic book store. Yeah, get your free comic books, but you need to, please buy other comic books or graphic novels or whatever merchandise they have. Support your local stores, please.
Thomas, I am envious of you. That's a great draw right there.
Yes.
Well, thank you. This is my 3rd year of doing this, and for the first time, I have all the books. Usually a couple of them are being held back, mainly publishers who do not want to let people know in advance of what the big event's going to be and that kind of stuff. But not the case this year, so I'm happy. I'm very appreciative that they've let me be able to do this, and obviously I've done a good enough job that they keep asking me again, not only for Free Comic Book Day but for Halloween Comic Fest as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this week's topic. Something that had popped into my head a while back, especially going back and reading some older books, is the disappearance of the thought balloons. Where you see basically a pillowy cloud and you're obviously reading the thoughts of the characters. And correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first books I think where it kind of changed from that to more of a inner dialogue in a box was Dark Knight Returns. Do you remember that, Les?
Yes, I would say you are correct there. Uh, for so long, the thought balloon was essential, but I could see where it would drag an action through the book, and of course, then expounding the hero or the villain expounding as to what they were thinking was absurd. But the box that you speak of was essential in that comic because it was strictly a point of view commentary.
Yeah.
You did not have to have the billowy cloud near the character. The box itself said, "This is what I am thinking. This is what my inner self is saying."
Yeah.
And it's now essential for a lot of comics. Some even have the thought boxes for 2 or 3 characters in that issue.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay attention in those cases for the color of the box or an emblem by the box to know which character is thinking.
Yeah, it's just something that kind of slowly faded away, and I guess it's just the change in writing styles because, back in the old days, there were more of a done in one story, a complete story in one issue, and then the next issue is a totally different story. Where the writing for the most part is a expanded arc. It could be anything from 5 issues to an ongoing thing with several subplots that may be resolved in that issue, and then we move on to the next thing, and then is it just a change in writing style, or?
I think it is. I believe it's to lay out the plot rather than have a thought balloon. You go to the next page where the hero or somebody is still speaking. Go to the next page, and the first panel will have his either a thought or his statement. The thought balloon to me was a space provider. Yeah, it got some information across to you in the old comics, but today's writer wants to move the story a little faster in most cases. Sometimes the hero will speak to the villain for 2 panels, and you go, well, okay, that really wasn't necessary, and why are you telling him everything you're going to do to defeat him? This gives him plenty of time to figure out what to do to escape. I have a plus and minus for the thought balloon, and versus someone just speaking.
Could it be the fact that a lot of today's writers, they write more than just comics? There's a lot of screenwriters, whether it's for TV or movies, or they write prose. Do you think that's just a part of the mentality evolving of the form? What do you think, Mike?
I'm not sure I would go quite that far with it.
Okay.
I do think that there is a bit of a storytelling difference there because with the straight up narration that you get generally in the rectangular boxes, you can do more with that from a storytelling perspective. With the thought bubbles, you're restricted to just the kind of things that the character in the panel would think. And I mean, you've all read regular novels. I mean, that's very limiting. With the larger scale narration thing, you can come at it from different perspectives. Like Les was saying, I mean, find a book with a lot of narration and watch the color of the box change, and you can be getting inside the minds of other characters, not just the one. And it's the kind of thing that can go deeper. It can, instead of being that person's thoughts, specific like sentences that can sound kind of corny when they get read out loud, you can dig deeper into their thoughts and their feelings and explain the thought process rather than a single thought, the thought process that they're using. And so it's a stronger narrative tool, really. And that comics are using it more now, or almost exclusively now, I think is a sign that the stories have become more sophisticated, even over just the last 20 or 25 years, like you're saying, but especially over like the last 40 years. They've just progressively become more sophisticated. And in some cases, not always, but in some cases, more geared toward a more mature audience and a more story savvy audience, an audience that wants more complex stories and darker stories and all that sort of thing.
And well, that's because the audience is older, wouldn't you say? Because when they were originally created, they were more for kids and entertainment, and now it's obviously an older readership, and they demand a little bit more than just.
Yeah, and I think we're talking early 90s because that's when DKR came out, right? Am I remembering that right?
Oh,
Late 80s,
late 80s,
early 90s.
early 90s. Yeah, right in
Yeah,
there.
and that's a point at which I think the publishers were starting to realize that their readership was aging, and that some of the stories, especially, I mean, even as far back as into the 70s, some of the more mature stories were bringing in older readers, and that you get to the late 80s and they start realizing that the 13-year-olds they were writing for 10 years ago are now 23, and a lot of them are still reading comics. And so you kind of got to turn the age knob up on the amp and make stories that those people want to buy, because honestly, they have a little more income than the 13-year-olds. I mean, 13-year-olds, you're counting on them to talk mom or dad into buying them a comic book, whereas a 23-year-old is either been out of high school and been working a little while, or is fresh out of college and starting that job with that shiny new salary, and they have a little more disposable income now. They can spend a little more money. And that's what it's all about, of course, is selling things.
Mm-hmm.
But good stories are easier to sell.
Good point. Holly, where are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, how sometimes it can kind of make it almost corny at times with the thought bubbles and what they say. And I definitely think that it has made it a lot more sophisticated. But sometimes I like a little side of corn, like every once in a while, you kind of, I don't know, some of those older ones that I do enjoy, I used to love, like in the original run of Fantastic Four and stuff that I used to read growing up. I don't know, I think that's sometimes kind of the magic of some of those that I liked, is that they weren't sophisticated. They were, almost like a Saturday morning cartoon in the sense that they were really light. And I think that kept it really light. But I definitely think that now there is a much more a place for something more sophisticated. And like you said, readers are older, or the readers that are older have more money, and that's who their core audience is. And I think that especially with movies coming out and comics being turned into movies, books, TV shows, whatever, that they're wanting to have a much bigger outreach to an older audience. So it will only make more people, I think, come into the stories and take them more seriously. So it's probably a good thing, but I think that there's a time and a place for it. And, I think it'd be nice if every once in a while, which they do every once in a while, but I enjoy going back and reading a lot of those titles and seeing that.
Well, and it helps that there are a couple of publishers now that are reprinting some of the old pulp comics, where there's
Yes.
a whole lot of that going on. I
I
will
love.
throw the one recent example I will throw out is the Haunted Love title,
Yep.
which is just entertaining as all get out.
I was just thinking that thought bubbles may have been the product from narration blocks. If you remember, comics like the old EC comics would have panels above the art panel describing what was going on. And I think maybe the thought bubbles were not a descendant, but something that was progressed from those blocks. I think that instead of saying something to the effect of Superman is going into the air to take on the dirigible, the thought bubble would say, now I'm flying toward the dirigible to take out its ailerons.
I agree, and I think it's interesting that now it has, in essence, come full circle because we're back to something that very closely resembles those original, basically word panels, because we've got just the small boxes doing essentially the same duty, although they're trying to incorporate it a little more smoothly into the story these days. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting point because of the way it has started from A and trickled down to like F and then back up to A again now.
Yes.
That's cool. I hadn't really thought about it that way. Yeah.
I also think it's interesting. I'm just throwing this out here.
Okay, no problem.
That given that we're talking about if not the exact start, then at least a notable start of this being Dark Knight Returns, I find it interesting that because of the kind of the pulp sensibility of the thought balloons, I think given that that was the point where it was decided, where DC decided to take Batman to a darker place, that I think it kind of signifies the kind of the end of the camp Batman era by switching to a more visually, just honestly, the thought balloons are just kind of fluffy looking and cute, and so that's not there all of a sudden, and what you've got is these sharp lines with the boxes and the very terse narration and all of that, and so I think there's an interesting kind of line drawn there by the publisher, if not specifically by the writer, to definitely take the character in a different direction by going darker and not being quite so happy and gregarious and fluffy clouds and all of that stuff.
There's a reality to it now.
Right, and it's a little more, the sharper lines and the grittier wording and that sort of thing, and I think it helped to make them make that turn to the darker Batman.
It did help them make it to a starker feeling to the dialogue.
Right, and the fact that it sold as well as it was as popular as it was, it's not going to take long for other publishers to kind of get on board with that and start doing the same kinds of things. Even little things like that can make a huge difference.
Okay, I kind of understand what Holly was getting at about kind of missing them because it's a what's the word I want to use? It kind of
Nostalgic.
it is nostalgic.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Because it's funny the last couple of years, and I think y'all guys know this, that I've started reading the old Archie, or it's the new stuff, but it's the digest form of Archie.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the main books have basically adopted the format that everybody else is doing, with the thought balloons are gone and that kind of thing, and a little bit more of a realistic approach. It's kind of nice to go back and read those and think of when things were a little bit simpler. It's kind of a nice little detour. It's kind of like, I think I explained to someone before about kind of like palate cleansing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like an Archie Digest, that's like, I would read that like at breakfast, or like, it's something, and then I would feel like you would read the more current stuff. That's like dessert after dinner. There's very much a difference in the lightness and the darkness and the subject matter. So I totally get that, and I think that it does make a difference having to do with the thought bubbles, for sure.
Yeah, it just presents kind of a less heavy kind of storytelling style. It gives a I don't want to say irreverence exactly, but it's definitely a lighter sense of what's going on kind of in the background. It makes kind of for less background in a way, in that it's not necessarily a real complex or deep story. It doesn't have to be. It can just be fun, and there's a certain nostalgia to that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other thoughts before we kind of wrap things up? Was there anything anybody else want to kind of add?
Nothing related to that, but I have to ask, did
Okay.
anybody see the Frank Cho cover that he did? I'm guessing I think it was, let's see, the South Carolina Comic-Con maybe this week. Did anyone see his
You
sketch?
talking about the Catwoman Batman?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that.
Okay. I was deeply disturbed by this. If you have not seen this, I suggest you look it up. Might make you outraged, might make you laugh, but
well,
it just,
Frank Cho's been kind of on this kick of doing sketches that just kind of upset people.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, have y'all seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's essentially what it is. You need to look it up, but essentially what it is it's a sketch of Batman and Catwoman is pregnant, and she says the butler did it, and it's Batman screaming Alfred angrily. And I was so taken aback when I clicked on the link. I didn't expect that. I was like,
That's
wow.
Great.
Yeah.
The only thing we were missing is Spider Gwen or Lady Thor in the background going outrage.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's been one of his things on all these sketches he's been doing.
Yep.
So yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay.
And I like Frank Cho, and I don't like censorship. So I love this stuff he's doing. I think it's hilarious.
Have you read his Liberty Meadows series?
No, after you said something to me about it, though, it's on my list.
I do recommend it. It is extremely funny.
Yes, it is on my wish list currently after you had mentioned it to me. I've seen it before. I saw it at a shop, I want to say about a year ago, and had thumbed through it. I just need to pick it up. I've heard nothing but good things from multiple people, so need to do it.
He is quite the talent.
Agreed.
You found it, Mikey?
Oh yeah, I saw it. That's great. That is greatness.
Yeah, I don't remember who posted that, but yeah, I saw it. It's sometime this weekend, I guess, and I was like, oh wow, he just loves pushing that button, doesn't he?
It's great.
Okay, so when we come back, we'll have our picks of the week. And we're back for our weekly picks, and leading off is Holly.
Well, this week I have got Legend of Wonder Woman #4. It's coming out this week. And this has been probably the best Wonder Woman title I've read in ages. It's a mini series, 9 issues, and it's by Renee DeLiz and Ray Dillon doing art. And I guess, it's kind of nice that they're taking some time to pay a little bit more attention to some Wonder Woman titles, and hopefully with Rebirth she'll get even more good titles. But this has been great. It's kind of about, well, just like it says, the legend of Wonder Woman. It's talking about her early childhood as the daughter to the queen, and it kind of talks a lot more about why they worship the Greek gods and how all of that kind of fits in. So it's kind of a fresh take, and it appeals, in my opinion, it appeals to more people, especially people that may not know a lot about Wonder Woman, and maybe like because of the new movie Batman Superman, they would like to, or like a starting point. This is a great place, I think, to start for kind of all ages. Does anyone know if it is in all ages?
I think it's close to what DC is putting out as an all ages. Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, because from what I've read, it's pretty safe, and I think, like I said, for any age to kind of jump on, and the art is beautiful, bright colors, it's gorgeous. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. Each one has kind of been a little bit of a different age group of her, from a little girl to a teenager. So I'm interested to see where they take that.
Let me ask you,
Yes.
is this the 75th anniversary of Wonder Woman, or was that last year? No, I'm serious.
I have no earthly idea.
I'm pretty sure it's this year.
Let me look it up. I don't know. Her birthday is not on my calendar. I should do that, shouldn't I?
Wow.
Guys, let me tell you a little something about this Legend of Wonder Woman. Most of y'all know a mutual friend, of course. People out there in the audience won't know him, but I'll just go ahead and say his name's Troy. He's a diehard Wonder Woman fan and has really hated the regular book ever since the New 52.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave him the first issue. I said, "Here, just try it and see what you think. I'll buy it back from you if you don't like it." And about a week or so later, I got an email from him saying, "I'm loving this. It's a little different, but it's a nod to the old Wonder Woman, and I'm loving it. So thank you, thank you, thank you." So, hey, a diehard Wonder Woman fan is loving this series. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yes, definitely redemption from the New 52 that was put out, in my opinion.
It was 1940 when Wonder Woman was first shown.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so this is the 75th anniversary, sometime this year. Okay, cool.
I'm hoping that DC will follow with a 75th anniversary of Wonder Woman stories like they did Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Robin, and others.
Oh, you know that
That would be nice. Anything to make it a little extra dough.
Mm-hmm.
So my second pick of the week would be Monstress number 5. This has not only been a huge conversation topic in the comic world, and particularly, like, I know a lot of, like, the women's comic groups, like the Valkyries and stuff, have really pushed this title. But this is amazing. The art in this, I've almost got to say, it's like my favorite art of the entire year. I mean, Mikey, you're reading this.
Yes.
Is the art not just like mind blowing?
The art is unbelievably good.
It is so rich. It is the richest thing that I've ever seen. And I cannot, you want to attempt to pronounce the artist's name? Because I'm going to murder it.
Sana Takeda?
Yeah, there you go. Much better than I could do. Is incredible. And luckily, it's not just the art that's great. It's got fantastic story. They're about to wrap up. This will be the end of this story arc. And it's a story about a girl and her journey dealing kind of with a connection, a psychic connection almost with a monster inside of her. We haven't gotten to learn a ton about that yet, but I love all the side characters that have been in this. It has just been the richest art that it makes the story have so much more weight. I guess it just seems to hold a ton more weight with the art. I could frame every page and just wrap my walls in it. It's just amazing. So anything else to say about it, Mikey, since you've experienced it?
The only thing I will throw out there is that I listened to an interview with Marjorie Liu, the writer,
Mm-hmm.
and she praises the art just about as much as you did just then.
Wow. That's awesome. And those are my picks.
Very cool. Very cool. Mikey.
All right. So yeah, Monstrous, actually, we talked about it beforehand, and Monstrous was on my list too, but I got others. It's cool. And I'm going to start with the Leaving Megalopolis sequel called Surviving Megalopolis. Number 4 is coming out this week. This is Gail Simone and Jim Calafiore. The premise with Leaving Megalopolis was that it's a little unclear as to whether it crashed or emerged from the Earth in this huge city and made all the superheroes go bad all at once, and just the sheer destruction that resulted. I mean, untold numbers of people died, and that story was based on a group of people who were just trying to get out of the city, just to survive the thing. They, at least some of them, not going to spoil too much because it's a really, really, really good book, and you should go get it. Dark Horse puts it out. It was actually kickstarted at first, and then Dark Horse picked it up after the fact. But so the second series is a group of people who have kind of figured out that there's something that made the heroes turn bad, and so now they've gone back in to the city to try to find what it was and see if they can, I guess, fix the problem. They're not really sure. They're just trying to figure out what the deal is. And it is a really, really, really fun world. I mean, it's interesting to call it a world since it's really just a city. But we get to know some of the heroes in this second series, and it's just been a whole lot of fun. This is not an all ages book, not by a long shot. The violence in this book is unbelievable, but it is really, really fun. And if you're interested, if you're the kind of person that is a little jaded on the superhero thing, pick this book up. Trust me, just do it. You know you want to.
If I may, the title also, you say it's violent,
Yeah.
and it's not only violent through the artwork, but it is violent through the writing itself.
Yeah.
And to see these people, the heroes are deranged, and they fight each other to say that they're going to save somebody, yet what they're going to do is kill that person.
Yeah, they're
They
fighting.
have a delight in killing. And I've got to give credit to Gail Simone because she just put the words there that contribute so greatly to that story. The art is fabulous. And I'm with you. I recommend this one highly.
If you can't tell, I turned less on to this one. Okay, my second pick. I'm going with Xena Warrior Princess #1, which is finally coming out through Dynamite. And this has kind of been a long time coming. This has been touted for a little while. And the premise, as I understand it, I have not actually read it yet because it's #1 and it comes out next week. But the premise is it's been 25 years, if I understand correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so Xena and Gabrielle are coming back. There was some large cataclysm and they were gone for like 25 years. And so they're coming back and getting back in the swing of things as far as saving the world goes. And I think it's going to be interesting. And like I said, it's been touted for a little while. And so it's going to be a fun one to look forward to.
Cool. Yeah.
Super excited. Well, and then though I'm sure that it finally got off the ground partially related to the TV show that they're working on.
Right.
So
The reboot.
so it'll be exciting to see where that goes. I'm super excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Those are good choices as well, Mikey. My picks are to start off with Wonder Woman 77 Special #3.
Woo!
I've been digging these, and
Yes.
as the title suggests, it's based off the TV show starring Linda Carter, and it's not just one story. It's usually 2 or 3 stories, and this has been fun. It's definitely caught the spirit of the TV show, and it would have been interesting that it's kind of one of those things with like Batman 66 and some of the others where they kind of just picked up where the TV show went on and or something along those lines. It's been real fun to read. It's kind of a nice diversion, kind of like what I was saying earlier about Archie. It's kind of a nice diversion away from some of the other titles. And my second pick is Action Verse #1, featuring the first hero by Action Lab Entertainment, and it's written by Anthony Rutgazer and Marco Renna. And if you guys know anything about Action Lab Entertainment, they've been putting out a few hero books over the 5 years. I mean, they don't just do superheroes. They do a little bit of everything. They do a little horror, and they do a little bit more fantasy and that kind of thing. But this little weekly miniseries, which it's going to last April through May, the 2 months, is basically joining all the heroes in one shared universe, and this is the event that's doing it. You know, the promotional ad was saying it was 2 years in the making and 24 creators involved, and I've been digging a lot of their stuff, a lot of the solo hero books. So I've been really psyched about this book coming out, and I really highly recommend you picking this up because I just can't see how it's going to disappoint.
No.
I like the way they have teams doing the stories. It's not just one story. You get 2 or 3 per issue, and I really like that part of it.
Yeah. Well, Les, you're last up. What are your picks, sir?
Well, first, from Image Comics, I'm looking at Black Road by Brian Wood with art by Gary Brown and Dave McCaig. This one is up my alley because it is a crime story, but this one takes place in Norway, and I've got a feeling that it may come off with a feel of Whiteout. I'm hoping that it's not a copy, but I'm excited about seeing what direction they do take this. It's a man on a mission whose charge has been killed, and he is out to find the people that killed him. My second one is the lone Marvel title that I read. Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood are bringing back Moon Knight. In this one, yeah, thank you. Mark Spector is in an insane asylum, and there's a question of his identity / identities because he wakes up there and he's not sure that everything that he's done in the past as Spectre, Moon Knight, or any of his other identities is real. So we'll see how they adjust to this, and I'm sure it's going to be a limited series, but all the better. This should be a good read too. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm psyched about this one because Les and I are big Moon Knight fans, and it is Jeff Lemire who I dig his stuff. So I just can't see how it can be wrong, how it can go wrong. And then the other one, Brian Wood. Oh man, DMZ, the Massive. What else am I missing? He's a good writer as well. So that sounds like a promising book as well. All right, good picks all the way around. It seems like April is going to be an awesome month for books. No offense to March, but man,
Yeah, March got spread a little thin with 5 weeks,
yeah, that's probably the case. Anything else before we sign off this week? Any shout outs or anything?
Not that I can think of.
Got nothing.
Mikey?
Not that springs to mind. I mean, other than the great deal of support that we get online for the show, which
Oh,
is
definitely.
completely awesome.
It is very awesome. We thank you for supporting us, and we are doing our best to support you guys as well because it's a Potter family. We need to take care of each other and support each other. And we do thank you for the support that you've given us. And iTunes, please. We need reviews for iTunes. If you're downloading this and checking this out, please go to iTunes and write a review, please. We don't have anything. We don't have anything yet, do we, Mikey?
I actually haven't checked in a few days, but the last time I checked, we did not.
Okay. It would be much appreciated. Even if it says, hey, you guys suck, at least there's a review. Something, please. It's appreciated. Okay, with that, we thank you for listening to us. We're always open for opinions, good, bad, and suggestions and questions. So feel free to either contact us on the website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can always send us something by email at email@thefellowshipofthegeek.net. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. We are also on Twitter, @FellowshipGeeks. Mikey has a Twitter page as well, @MikeyGeek, so go follow him and let him know what you think about us and the show. Holly has a Twitter and Instagram account, @HollyBlake with 3 E's, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, of course, I have a Twitter page, @TomTCGeek. So feel free to hit us up, follow us, send us a little message saying, hey, like the show, all that good stuff.
And be social.
Yes. I'm working on that.
That wasn't an accusation. That's what we'll do. We will be social.
Yeah, definitely. So
Get off my lawn.
and of course, that comes from the one person who does not have a Twitter account. So that may explain a lot. So until next time, guys, y'all have a good night and read more comics. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Until next time,